Hi, hello podcast. This is week 3 of the US Civics project. This week was I think it's a less interesting week than the week before for week 2, but there are still some major things we can definitely talk about. So for this main episode, we're mainly going to talk about one Trump, TikTok, some really interesting statistics about AI, and then generally about Israel. Again, kind of like last week. I think let's start with ABC News. So what's up with Trump for this segment? So Trump, the deal we talk about the TikTok deal. The TikTok deal is a really interesting deal. Reason being is because Trump reveals a deal with Murdoch's and Dell could potentially take part in the TikTok deal. These two people are very, very relevant because the Murdochs are actually connected to Jeffrey Epstein first off. And then as well as TikTok is given to Oracle. Oracle is a known organization whose CEO has given over 150 million to the IDF or the Israeli Defense Force, right? And then also hired an IDF soldier for censorship section of TikTok. That's crazy. This has many applications connected to it. It shows that Israel is one afraid of TikTok, and and the reason why they wanted TikTok to shut down is not because of China. China collects info. China actually gave away its data centers to America, allowing them to connect to it. No, it shows that Israel is afraid of TikTok because they can't control it. TikTok promotes more sensational news, and the Gaza Strip includes that. This will more likely lead to the biggest censoring of both Israel and Palestine, and especially of Israeli just in general criticism. It's very scary how that will implicate because TikTok is the largest growing platform in the world, literally in the world. So having those people having take over it is kind of scary. Segment 2: How Americans view AI and its impact on people and society. This Pew Research is very interesting. I don't think okay, I want to say very interesting because it has some obvious things. Some first off, it talks about how AI will worsen people's ability to think creatively and form a meaningful relationships. Because if you use AI for everything, you don't really think for yourself. You're asking the questions, but you're not delving into the thought process that goes behind it. Like of course you can get the answer, but the answer is not the purpose of getting some answers. The purpose is the journey. So you can see how a majority of people think that what's it called? Think it hinders creativity. It hinders meaningful relationships. It hinders difficult decisions. It hinders solving problems. A majority. And then we go even more further down. We talk about how 50% of Americans are more concerned and excited and about the increased use of AI in daily life. More people are kind of concerned. Like, okay, you can be excited, like, okay, maybe this might make my job easier, but then it can also threaten your job. Also, it might threaten how you do your everyday life. How about if you use AI for you can use AI for certain things, right? But what happens if you want to make it like an essay or something, and you've been using AI your whole life? You're being handicapped by using AI. It just shows that oh well, I don't want to do the work. I'd rather just use AI because I'm dumb. It kind of says that when you're kind of using AI kind of like that. And so I think that the main takeaway from this is that people are what's called are able to tell one that which is AI generated, human generated, but it shows how people don't really feel that confident in AI. I think AI is almost like the iPhone boom. Of course, it's gonna be there, but the thing is, we don't know if AI is going to advance as much as we thought so. Like if it's going to approach a singularity, where AI is going to reach quote unquote consciousness, if we can even define that. Anyways, that's kind of off topic. Section 3: Gen Z in the news. This is a Vice article that highlights kind of the obvious. Alcohol is killing Americans at an alarming rate. Here's why. I really wonder why they're getting killed more, getting killed throughout more years. The article is pretty much self-explanatory. You see spikes in COVID, and you see a rise after COVID. And you also, this is one surprising thing in the article. It shows that women between the ages of 25 to 34 saw a sharp rise in alcohol-related deaths over the study. And in 1999, male to female mortality ratio was 3 to 1. In 2024, it's 2-1. That ratio may seem small, but if you were to largen it out, you can see like, oh wow, it went 50% to 33% if you were to do statistic wise. And that's a large percentage when doing like the American population. So let's check out the Vice article. So the Vice article talks about like here at the peak over surprising middle of COVID when over 54,000 Americans died directly from drinking. And while those numbers have dipped slightly since then, they're still a solid 25% higher than they were pre-pandemic. Well, what does that mean? It means that COVID has still affected people, has a large effect on people. Still, even though it's about 4 to 5 years away from now, it shows that alcohol has been used as a coping mechanism since then. And people who were on it were, if you were inside, no one can really control drinking. If you're at home, no one can control drinking. You just drink it by yourself. And this overall COVID did lead to more addictions, because if you're not seeing anybody else in your whole life, you could just do your own vices, which can be very dangerous. And then population, and it also highlights some demographics like American Indians and Alaskan Native populations were more likely to be alcoholics. And this study includes death directly due to alcohol, but there's also the article doesn't talk about like the long list of how alcohol affects your body too. Chronic illnesses, booze make it worse, heart disease, cancer, mental health, and disorders. I think you can connect alcohol to many other aspects of unnerving statistics. Just a thought for it. Now, section 4. For this section, I want to talk about how Israel is controlling the medium day by day. We talked was called Netanyahu went in public and talking about how Israel had no idea, or Israel had no connection for killing Charlie Kirk. I remember last week we talked about how there's a clear connection. There is a connection. How he was given 150 million, denied it to his corporation Turning Point. He denied that, and then he died a week later. And also the criticism it is Israel, and also Jeffrey Epstein. He died a week later. There's a clear connection. There's some connections. There's also more connections that I haven't mentioned yet. The connections being the Murdochs getting into this too. The same Murdochs that were also now in a TikTok deal joint venture program, where TikTok will now be leveraged to American companies. Really scary, right? As well as we also have Netanyahu giving over 45 million in contracts with Netanyahu office to spread Israeli propaganda. Google in the middle of the 6 months, 45 million contracts to amplify the propaganda with Netanyahu's office. Their contract describes Google as a key entity in supporting the Prime Minister messaging. That basically means propaganda. Every day you see how Israel is getting the media more and more. It's already very high already with American politicians, as well as the government being mostly controlled by Israel and mostly by Netanyahu. This isn't even a recent thing anyways. This has been going on for a long time. About 4 to 5 years ago, the Republican Party never really questioned about Israel being the greatest ally. Nowadays, you see a lot more Republicans questioning now. It's not a coincidence. Charlie Kirk was definitely the turning point for a lot of people saying like, I wonder why we're the greatest ally to Israel. It's food for thought. But anyways, that is today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed. I think the biggest takeaway from this podcast is to still don't trust anybody. Don't trust the information you're getting. The information you're getting is being dealt to you for a certain reason. There's some things are not given to you as well. Don't fear the things that you know. You should fear the things that you don't know. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.